the warmth of our laugh, or our family's secret sauce. We all bring something different to the table. So make some space. The power of connection is waiting right outside your comfort zone. Learn how you can help strengthen your community at belongingbeginswithus.org/teamup.
When people are fed, futures are nourished. They can connect with the world around them, unlock endless possibilities, and thrive. Join the movement to end hunger. Volunteer. Advocate. Donate. Go to feedingamerica.org/actnow.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 6.
Well, good evening, Chief Meteorologist Matt Lopon here as we continue to track building drought conditions. The new monitor out tomorrow. One of the headlines of the next couple of days is going to be a limited amount of precipitation. Very spotty rainfall, not particularly spotty enough. We'll talk a little more detail with that coming up here in a couple minutes with our meteorologist Gabe Maynor. Relatively dry into this upcoming weekend. And we do anticipate that we're going to probably have heat that's building in as well in the next couple of days. Again, some of the big headlines as August is finally returning back to form. Not that anybody's pushing it to happen any quicker than it naturally will. We welcome you into the room-to-room weather center as we are looking at the first 12 hours. This evening, again, mainly dry conditions. A couple sprinkles we'll look at on Mississippi Live Weather Radar here in a minute. 84 the temperature. We're 75 by 10 p.m. 73 as we look toward 1 o'clock in the morning, and then probably low 70s, maybe some upper 60s to begin the first part of your Thursday. In a lot of ways, very ideal weather for this time of year. A little below our normal, not overly humid, though that stickiness factor is starting to increase a little bit more day by day going forward. Outside in Aberdeen at this instant, we show mainly just isolated puffy cumulus clouds. We're 88 degrees. It feels like 95 at this instant as that humidity is noticeable, but not over the top at this time. And bugs, well, we seem to have quite a few of those around our Mississippi cameras around the region with the North Mississippi storm chasers. We're 86 in Kosciuszko, feels like 91, so not as bad. That dew point value is just a little bit lower there in Kosciuszko, and that slight difference making the stickiness more manageable. We do anticipate, of course, that will be going up a little bit higher. And yeah, the flying insects there as well. Let's see, can we get 3 for 3 there in Winona? We're 88 right now, feels like 91 on the light northeasterly winds, and that's an important component there. That northeasterly sort of wind, not one that brings up the humidity very high, as again the clouds, even the ones that were building a little bit ago, starting to flatten out a little bit. Here's the latest on Mississippi Live Weather Radar. Not much out there that we are tracking at this point. We've had a couple of isolated showers around the Golden Triangle within the last hour, and when I say showers, maybe that's overextending what these are. Really, honestly, just sprinkles. I don't really see a whole lot out there at this point. We had a couple out here toward Red Bay, north of Hamilton. Those have all kind of fallen apart as well. So just not a lot of meaningful moisture out there this afternoon, and that's one of the reasons why drought conditions, believe it or not, are continuing to expand somewhat. On our satellite perspective here, kind of locked in close, not much showing up out there. We go much wider. Of course, we're watching Dexter out there in the Atlantic. This is a tropical storm expected to make it up to Category 1 hurricane strength. Our meteorologist Gabe Maynor will be looking at that in more detail here in a couple minutes. But again, that is heading away from us. There are a few other areas, including this one out there to the east of Jacksonville, that we're going to have to watch as well. Big complex of thunderstorms ongoing for locations back out onto the plains earlier today. A long-lived complex. You can see the huge flare-up of thunderstorms there. This is where the more active weather is. That's where the more active jet stream is. And that's why it's largely a non-factor for us at this point, as we're kind of just stalled out here. Nearest front back toward the plains. If you look closer at this, do you see any precipitation anywhere kind of draped along this front at all? I mean, I don't see much. So dry weather is the story, not just here, even back out that direction. So it's going to take a lot more than that to get some active weather here. We've had some showers down closer to the coast. Again, that trough, that area convergence, that's one of the reasons why down that direction there. So as we go ahead and look at our futurecast for this evening, some showers continuing down around the Hattiesburg area, fairly spotty in nature. They've had the rainfall last few days. They'll continue to have some as we go into this this evening as we have mainly dry conditions up here in the north part of the state, also keeping it clear as we go into the overnight hour, and the clearer skies helping us to start a little bit more mild for tomorrow morning, a little warmer there, I think, in some spots, and will probably increase temperatures more quickly. A lot more 90s out on the map as we head into tomorrow. Rain chances mainly to the east of us. Non-zero, though, there, as we'll have, I think, limited. We'll say 10% on that rain coverage as we head toward 3 p.m. So starting off around 70, we're 81 degrees as we head toward around 9 a.m., 88 by noontime, and 91 with a heat index somewhere around 93, 94, though a few spots in excess of the triple-digit point. Our winds, a little more of a southerly wind direction to those, and that will start bringing in more of the stickiness, and that's happening slowly. But as again, we go from like the northerly direction more to the south, that's when we start to see that. Of course, coming up in 60 seconds, we're going to be looking at a couple of things. First off, what do rain projections look like over the next week? That's also intimately related to the drier air and drought conditions continuing to build. The very latest on how that plays into our forecast as Mississippi Live Weather at 6 continues right after this.
At Absolute Restoration, our team will feel magical since our focus is on serving you and your roofing needs. Finding a roofer who actually shows up and communicates, that's just one of the problems we solve by informing you of every step in the process.
Selling premium roofing systems backed by warranties and payment plans starting at just $99 per month. Trust Absolute Restoration to deliver.
Experience unicorn-level service and affordability from a team your community trusts. Call Absolute Restoration today.
Your family deserves the most beautiful smile possible. At Tupelo Smiles, we use precision dentistry and advanced technology to make visiting the dentist an amazing experience. Relationship-based comprehensive care. Come discover the difference at Tupelo Smiles.
Life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome. Prediabetes does. With early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the 1-minute prediabetes risk test today. Go to doihaveprediabetes.org.
Right now, from the Mississippi Live Weather Center, here's Mississippi's Chief Meteorologist, Matt Lobheim.
Well, the winner for one of the hottest locations on this midweek Wednesday, Cleveland right now coming in at 97 for the feels like temperature for that heat index out there. But it's also kind of a winner on the pretty blue skies that we have showing up there in the Delta as well. Winds fairly calm. I just love this camera because basically I just like watching the flag there in the foreground. I think that'll be a good metric for just how windy it is as we get more into storm season. But luckily, nothing like that out there that I know folks in the Delta, really a lot of locations could use some meaningful rainfall. We'll look at the rainfall situation we're developing into here in a couple minutes. Pontotoc feels like 90, so that 7-degree difference there because the air is drier. Dew point coming in at 66 in Pontotoc right now with fairly calm winds. And yeah, a lot of those beautiful blue skies there as well as we look north from the area and then the south part of town. So rainfall totals last 24 hours. This is a shock to nobody, practically nothing. But I do want to show you when we look at the forecast rainfall for today, you notice how we have some splotches on the map here. Not much, pretty decent job of nailing that. But it's a reminder when we show these kind of forecast graphics, they're more generalized. Sometimes you get isolated areas with heavier amounts. But it's just a reminder that just because you're in the blue doesn't mean you're going to be seeing much and doesn't mean you'll be seeing as little as what you have there. Looking at rainfall totals over the past 5 days, they have not been particularly high. When we show some of the greens on there on our map, that's where a few spots there in excess of maybe 3/4 of an inch to an inch. But for other locations, I found one spot over there in Fayette, Alabama, and one up in Lamar County. We had a little bit, but the rainfall just has not been particularly substantial. Over the next 5 days, we're kind of on par for the same thing. Maybe some spotty showers. A lot of us, probably not much out there. I mean, kind of at the highest values we're looking at, we show Montgomery County about 1/4 of an inch. Outside of that, not even that. And I'll tell you this, these numbers tend to be, again, the exact positioning because of the pop-up storms. I wouldn't say there's much better chance here in Montgomery County than Eupora or than in West Point for that matter. And the big takeaway is if over the 5-day period, we're down here in these 3 blue colors, we're pretty dry. And that certainly has been the story over the last 30 days as well, where you see kind of this yellow and brown sort of color. Let's talk about what we're looking at here. Everything in the gray is spot on for what we expect. Everything in the yellow is less, everything green and eventually blue there is more to a lot more. And so in some spots there in Pontotoc County, we've only had less than 20%, less than 1/5 of the amount of precipitation we typically would see even in this July to early August time period. This is not our wettest time of the year. It's actually when we start turning off the tap for moisture a lot of times. So it's not shocking to go dry. but this is significantly more dry than even we typically are. And when we look at the deficit, how much we lack versus what we should have, in many cases, we're talking 2 to 4 inches less than our average for this time of year over the last 30 days there through Bruce, through Chickasaw County, back toward Lafayette County, and much of the Delta as well. So unfortunately, the situation has not been particularly good as far as rainfall is concerned, and we do expect expansion of that drought monitor as a result. Over the course of the year, obviously, we're up, I think, in a lot of spots, not by much, just a little bit above what we typically should see over the last 365 days. But that also takes into effect, we had a very, very dry drought last fall, and so that dry fall season impacting this as well. But it's a reminder that while we had a lot of rainfall earlier this year, this is our dry season, and we are going to continue to have those kind of conditions, unfortunately, expand. So hour by hour forecast, day planner there on your Thursday. We're 72 to begin at about 7 a.m., probably lowest temperature around 70. Will be 88 by noon and 91 for tomorrow afternoon. I don't have any percentages on these specific hours, but I wouldn't be shocked to have maybe 5 or at most 10% on that rain coverage. A lot of us, again, pretty dry on your Wednesday. Here's Futurecast. As you can see on our Wednesday and into Thursday, just not much moisture out there for this evening. We showed the nearest rainfall. You got to go all the way up there north and east of Huntsville. So again, very, very small showers at most, and most of those we've lost the heat of the day, so they've gone away. We keep it mostly clear overnight, and that is, I think, a change from where we were this morning and the last couple of days, as we're kind of a clearer start to the day on your Thursday. I think low temperature is pretty similar, around 70 in Tupelo and Amory and Houston. We'll go 68 Red Bay and Hamilton, Alabama, about 69 Eupora, 70 for Cleveland and Clarksdale and Tunica, and right around 72 in Greenville and 70 in Senatobia. Clear skies, again, to begin the first part of your Thursday in the morning as we are dry and clear. Nearest moisture, a little bit of that back out there into South Alabama. But again, we're needing some rainfall. This is not exactly the pattern to try to bring us that rainfall. As a general, on the wider shot here, higher pressure is largely in control. I know we're kind of really, really wide here for a moment, and there's this kind of huge ridge that extends all the way out here from near the Atlantic back out toward Texas. So kind of toward the center part of that, where there's kind of been this little weakness in the ridge. That's sort of filling in, and so it's not as helpful to us as it previously had been. You'll notice more of those puffy cumulus clouds starting to go as we head toward tomorrow afternoon. We call those cumulocongestus when they start getting strong enough, like a puffy enough, building up enough that they start trying to produce some rainfall. And a couple of these could produce some very, very small showers. We show one there, Aliceville, maybe 1 or 2 of those trying to get going there close to Amory. But the majority of us, I mean, it's almost like we have this dome of protection overhead. Only one little shower there closer to the Charleston area, and a couple out here closer to Greenville as well. But these, any of the storms remaining very, very spotty, and most of us are dry. So low 90s out there for highs, about 91 degrees Tupelo, Houston. We're 94 degrees in Grenada and 95 for Greenwood, Belzona, and 101 that heat index back for Greenville, Cleveland, Clarksdale, Greenwood, all in excess of 100, as will be the case for Grenada. Not quite as high because we're not quite as humid, at least not yet, for locations near the Alabama state line. So Futurecast into your Thursday evening, mostly dry, only a few puffy cumulus clouds that go away as we head into the night. Very similar to where we've been recently, where we just kind of bubble up with those attempts at rain showers early. Friday starting the day, mostly clear conditions there, the partly cloudy skies. As we look back into Alabama, that's again where the moisture has been recently, and again trying to produce a couple of very, very spotty showers. Most of us not seeing much, and when these are as small as they're indicated here, this is about as small as our grid spacing can go on the models, and that's to say when they show something 5 or 6 miles wide, that's basically saying as infinitesimally small as is possible out of this. So a couple small showers out there for Friday, the majority of us not seeing much into even your Friday evening and Friday night there. So high temperatures expected to be, again, low 90s to maybe mid 90s. As you can see, we're out here 97 Greenville there, 94 degrees Cleveland, Clarksdale, 96 degrees Greenwood, and about low 90s out here, Bruce, Houston, Tupelo 92, and 91 for Columbus and Starkville. Heat indices kind of reaching their peak out in the Delta. Again, just kind of picking this time off the map there. 3 p.m., already some 100-plus degree heat indices. We're not quite the heat advisory levels there. Those heat indices getting a little higher by your Saturday, and eventually that's starting to yield more moisture by Sunday. We're at 20% on the rain coverage Sunday, 30% as we look toward Monday. And again, those low temperatures always kind of the indicator there. When they're mid-90s, and we're starting to see these pop-up showers around. That's low temperatures, I should say mid-70s, afternoon temperatures mid-90s. That's when we're really starting to kick that heat index up, and that's getting us closer to heat advisory levels, I'd say, into the extended forecast and looking toward next week. Of course, msliveweather.com, where that forecast is always available and ready, of course, in the palm of your hand. And appreciate lots of you for watching that right now. Now, coming up here in one moment, we're going to be talking to our meteorologist, Gabe Maynard. He is tracking the tropics, which are getting more active. Of course, we have Dexter out there and a couple other areas of concerns. The very latest on that as Mississippi Live Weather at 6 continues right after this.
Here is your opportunity to add 2 beautiful guns to your collection and support scouting. Scan the QR code to purchase your chance to win a Browning Citori 725 Sporting Maple over and under 12 gauge shotgun, or a 75th anniversary Boy Scout commemorative Winchester Model 9422 rifle. Support the Natchez Trace Council Scouts with your raffle entries today.
As a nurse, I've seen a lot of people with sleep deprivation. It affects their job, their home life. At Room to Room, we want to take the guesswork out of buying a mattress, and that's why we brought in this technology. It shows you what you need. We want to do the assessment and find exactly what's perfect for you.
Oh, hey, welcome back. So welcome back to Mississippi Live Weather. I was talking to Matt off screen about some stuff, but Matt, we've got some great pictures submitted by our weather watchers. This one over there towards Holka. You know, what are we seeing right here?
So you have the high, thin clouds. They're kind of illuminated from the backside, and so you end up getting these kind of crepuscular rays. You can almost see the lines there over the top. So kind of a cool way in which this is eliminated. Let's zoom that in a little bit, because I think we should be able to do that. Let's zoom that in.
Emphasize that heavenly look.
It really does have a pretty cool look there. So, you know, the fact that obviously we're shaded here in the foreground, we don't have anything to be able to kind of see it in the foreground there. But yeah, just kind of cool shot there of the different cloud layers. Appreciate Brianna and Holka for using that Mississippi Live Weather app to send that in.
Of course, and if you want to submit any pictures, it's an easy way to do so. You just go to the side on the app, and it's about the 6th. I think it's the 6th.
I'm glad you've counted.
I've submitted so many pictures at this point. I'm an avid weather watcher at this point. But no, if you want to submit your pictures, even if it's a sunset, I mean, you can see how much we enjoy it and how much there is to see just on one of these images. But, you know, Matt, this is what we've been looking at, and it's the hurricane season summary. And I'm going to kind of take a step back right here, because we were talking yesterday how, you know, folks are talking about it being a quiet season. Well, 2024, as of August 6th, there were only 4 named storms. 2025, following that same trend. So we're still forecasting above average forecast, even though it might be starting off slower. Peak coverage is, what, mid-August?
So we start really ramping up mid-August, but ultimately, peak of the season is September 10th. So we're still, I mean, what? More than a month away, yeah.
So, I mean, counting down, but also not counting down. We're just kind of keeping a keen eye on
Holding our breath.
Yeah, for sure. But this was our 4th named storm. It was Dexter off there. You can see this was Wednesday, 4 p.m. Increased to about 50 miles an hour. So that storm is definitely still intensifying. And we were talking about a few days ago how the peak intensity could be up to Category 1. Well, now on our projections, you can see 60 to 70 miles an hour there by Thursday before getting into that 75 mile an hour threshold for the possibility of a Category 1. Now, is this what's going to happen? No, but it gives us an idea of how to expect the time frame on it. And the fortunate thing with all of this, moving away from the United States.
Absolutely, non-issue for any of us here in the lower 48 of the United States. You'd have to be out here way at sea before that's the case. But you mentioned Category 1 hurricane, just a reminder that that is, you know, strong winds that we judge it by. But a lot of times when we get closer, we're going to talk a lot more about storm surge, those kind of impacts here, because those tend to cause the much bigger impacts. But wind, still what we categorize by.
For sure. And so luckily, yeah, this is not going to be an immediate concern, but definitely, is it our strongest storm of the year?
I believe to this point. I'd have to double check, actually.
Yeah, I have to look at other 3. I know we had Chantel earlier on. But you can see tropical development is definitely on the climb. And I want to say with this latest outlook, and we'll walk through this on the disturbance graphic, but that trend a little bit more north, models are taking it, moving it away from the United States before it ever reaches inland. So yeah, we're hoping. But let's go ahead and walk through the first disturbance. And this is a 0% chance of development over the next 2 days. Next 7, 30%. You might notice that it's going right along the Atlantic coast. So hopefully that means that it's not going to impact folks inland, but it could wrap around some of that moisture for sure to cause some possible flooding concerns for coastal regions.
So no issues for us. This is just kind of that stalled big flare-up of thunderstorms we had in Atlantic, and that's moving away?
Yes, exactly. So moving away, and models really have it. I mean, even sometimes further than what this projection is showing, so in a better forecast than what this model is even showing. But this is the one that we've been watching. We tracked it out. Let's see, that was Monday whenever we walked out the long-term forecast, and we'll be doing that here in a moment. But you can see 60% chance of development over the next 7 days, 30% over the next 2. That has steadily started to climb, but the track of this is definitely something to keep note of because models don't have it moving nearly the path that it was taking 2 days ago.
Caleb. We'll widen this out just a little bit. On the shot here, and I'd go really wide. So you can see, I mean, just even on this, global sort of scale, the general shape of this already curving. We sometimes refer to this as recurving, curving up northward there to where it's most likely. I mean, it's not going to make it to the northeast, but I think the likelihood of it getting down here in the Gulf, not particularly high on this one.
It's getting slimmer and slimmer as each day passes, and that's a good thing because we don't want those impacts to take place. But as we walk through that kind of jet stream, this is a look at Thursday, 6 p.m., August 7th. There's that development that we're watching. So as we head over the next several days, you can see how that just starts to spin up just a bit more, intensifying just a bit. And to give you another perspective, there's the yellow that we were looking at, that first disturbance. There's a potential for that as well, moving off the Atlantic coast. So paying attention to these two things right here is what we need to have our eyes on.
And maybe just as importantly, the high that's in between that sometimes works to steer these.
Well, and there will be a high pressure that we'll talk about here in just a moment that is really the driving force on that storm. And that's what models have picked up on. So there you see that storm definitely intensifying just a bit, starting to wrap around a bit more of that moisture, that warm, moist air building in from the southern Atlantic. So that's 6 p.m. on Sunday. Wouldn't be surprised to see that become a named storm by that point if it keeps on this trend.
And one interesting factor, when we start talking about those percentages of something being upgraded, this also, when this starts showing up at jet stream levels here, 500 millibar to higher, typically it's no longer what we would call warm core as well. It's either really strong or it's not warm core. All that to say, when it starts tapping into the upper levels of the atmosphere, it's kind of this hybrid, not truly tropical, kind of subtropical, as it's, and that's part of the natural life cycle of these. We expect them to strengthen, especially if they get tapped into the jet stream.
For sure. And so Sunday, if this holds that projection, I would not be surprised to see, I'm going to call it E because I don't know the fifth name storm. What was it? We looked it up.
We did. Was it Evelyn?
Caleb's our fact man.
It was not
Go and
Evelyn.
double check on us.
Yeah, check that real quick. But so that could potentially be the fifth name storm. But this one down here in the south, that's what we need to keep an eye on because you can see as it builds in, what you have right here is a high pressure that's kind of developing off there in the southeast. As that high pressure really starts to build, it's basically going to drive this out. So you have this interaction of a low and you have the interaction of the high, both forcing those winds, and it's basically going to ride that jet stream into the northeast. So that's why it basically stalls out and then transitions into a northeast path.
You also have kind of a ridge out here as well, and the combination of that kind of helping to drive this northward.
Yeah, so all winds pointing northeast. In this graphic.
Exactly. And away from here.
We love that. So this is Tuesday, 6 p.m. on into Wednesday, Thursday. That one, I mean, it goes all the way up into Canada if that projection holds. Aaron. Okay, sweet. I know Gabrielle is on there, so I'm hoping that my name, the girl name of my name, doesn't have bad juju with it. So Wednesday, 6 p.m., you can see that just kind of rides out northeast, and it doesn't really have it reaching as intense as what it once was before. Now, granted, these are all long-track models. We're talking over a week out. So take it with a grain of salt, but it definitely is showing better things.
And you notice how this doesn't have that full circle all the way around it like what you had a moment ago on the other one. So this one's still mainly surface-based, fully tropical at this point in this projection. And so that always adds an air of caution to our projections, because when they're truly tropical, they don't tap into these steering currents as much, and they're more likely to manipulate their own environment. So major hurricanes have a tendency to do that. The track has been farther north for the last couple of days. We're hoping that track holds, but again, we expect to see some significant error on that over the next few weeks. And this is, we're looking more than a week out at this point here.
And it's changed every single run.
And it will.
From 18Z to 0Z. I mean, every single new run that comes in will have it positioned in a new location. The one thing that I've noticed recently is that both of our long track models have it kind of positioned in that northeast path. Is it pinpoint accurate on both models together? No, there is some variation.
It's not going to be.
No, but especially like a week out, but it is showing at least some uniformity with its path moving north and east. So hopefully that means good things to come. and we'll definitely take this model because it's moving it away from us here in the United States. So looking at better conditions and into our night tonight, no tropical weather.
No, we are dry for sure. Well, we thank you so much for watching us here on Mississippi Live Weather at 6. Coming up at 10 o'clock, of course, looking at some of those extended rainfall projections a little bit more.
We will be.
We might
Fingers
go,
crossed, we need some.
I mean, let's do hope casting. I don't know if we call it wish casting, but hope casting. Gabe will have that coming up for you for night at 10. We appreciate you watching us here in the Room to Room Weather Center for Mississippi Live Weather at 6. We will see you live at 10 o'clock. And a reminder, you can always get our latest forecast in the Mississippi Live Weather app, free and available for all those different devices, Android, iOS. Now is kind of the time to make sure that grandma and grandpa or our friends have it at least downloaded so that when we start getting into storm season, the things get more active. Luckily, Gabe, a few more weeks where we can enjoy this beautiful weather before that point in time. So thanks for joining us here at 6 o'clock. We'll see you at 10.
You need some help?
Your tow chains are a little loose. Could spark a wildfire. I could show you how to secure them properly if you'd like.
Sure. Thanks a lot.
Anytime. You should check out SmokeyBear.com. They've got a bunch of tips on wildfire prevention.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. 2 milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable. The sad reality is, fentanyl is being mixed into everything now.
More kids should know.